Hello and welcome to Inside Your County Government, a podcast that brings you an inside look at the people and events in and around county government that shape our Charles County. I'm your host, Brent Huber. This episode is part of our Boards and Commissions series. Boards and commissions play a critical role in shaping our community, and over this series we're going to be exploring what they do, why they're important, and how you can get involved. Joining us today is Reverend Kate Heichler, a dedicated member of the Interfaith Commission of Charles County. And we're going to talk about what the mission and the impact of the Interfaith Commission is to Charles County and how it aids in our local governance and ways you can get engaged to make a difference. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So let's start with a little bit of background. Kind of introduce yourself and then tell us who you are.
Sure. I am an Episcopal priest. I serve two congregations in Charles County, Christ Church in La Plata and Christ Church Wayside, which is in Newburgh. And in previous time in Connecticut, I ran an interfaith organization, the Interfaith Council of Southwestern Connecticut. And when I got here was when the pandemic hit, and actually I think it was even more particularly when in the George Floyd aftermath. I convened an interfaith prayer vigil that Commissioner President Collins was very interested in. And he began to talk about, could we get an interfaith council going in Charles County? So we began to meet with a group of people, some clergy, some not, to talk about what that would look like. Initially expecting it to be a separate nonprofit of some sort. But actually it was Reuben Collins who said, what if it were a county commission? Which is unusual because it's religion, church and state, all of that.
Yes.
And it did make some people a little nervous, but we began to explore what that would look like and what the advantages were, and thought it would have much more reach if it were a part of county government. The city of Washington, D.C. has an interfaith department. There are models of civic interfaith organizations. So we explored those. We drafted some bylaws. The county attorney took a crack at them and made them even more, right on aligned with church state regulations. And so it was formed. The commissioners voted to form it. Just, I believe it was 3 years ago.
Right.
2 or 3 years, maybe 2.
It's a relatively new commission.
It's very new. We're still actually finding our way. I was the initial chair and still am. At some point, I'm going to be rotating off. But we wrote the bylaws so that there would always have to be representation from a diversity of religious traditions. Christianity is the dominant tradition in Charles County, but there are many others. So we have Sikh, Baha'i, Muslim, Jewish, and a couple different strands of Christian. And there was a requirement that there be somebody who's not affiliated with any particular tradition on it as well. So
interesting. And that brings me to a kind of the big question here. What does it mean to be interfaith?
Well, it means for some people, interfaith can mean blurring the distinctions between the different faith traditions, or, and this is the definition I prefer, it's promoting creating a space where people of different religious traditions can function together, can learn about each other, can come to know each other, can break down some of the dividing lines while remaining true to the distinctives that make them who they are.
That's interesting. It's fascinating for me too, and it seems like it could be one of those things that is really advantageous and very challenging at the same time.
Absolutely. And if you make space where people can authentically pray in their own way, but respect the ways that other people pray, the way other people worship, then you begin to have a group that can work together and that can collaborate. And actually, it's working on service projects that most often promotes relationship building and really getting to know people from other traditions.
And is that one of the functions of the board? I mean, what is the board's kind of function, its mission, its directive?
Its mission is to bring together faith communities in Charles County, both so that they can know each other and work together, but also to connect them more intentionally with nonprofits, with county government, with businesses and media, to address the challenges that we face, to promote a more compassionate, more just, equitable Charles County. That's it in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Okay. So how does that play into the community, and why is that so important to the community? I mean, what was the thing that kind of said, "Hey, we want to do this, and we want it to operate, not so much operate for the government, but out of the government. The government wants to have a part of this."
Yeah. I think that the commissioners saw the value. Faith communities bring a lot. They have resources. They've got commitment to justice and to helping the poor, helping just at their best. They can be a deep force for division, as we know all too well in our country, but they can also be a force for building and building together. And I know with Reuben Collins, one of his main reasons that he wanted to even start the conversation was that he felt there was a religious diversity in Charles County that wasn't recognized, that people didn't know about each other's traditions. So that was an impetus. But we are trying to find ways to get congregations together to address needs. Lots of congregations are doing things with food and things like that. But are there projects, are there initiatives where people are not working together? I was involved in Connecticut in efforts to end homelessness, which can be done. It can be done if people want it to be done in their community. And I was on that board because they wanted faith communities to be faith communities that often house shelters and bring food, but could also be involved in system change.
The way that the Interfaith Commission is set up, you have a congregation. Do all the members of the committee or the commission, are they members of a congregation? Are they leaders in their congregation?
Many of them are leaders. Some are just members, because we tried not to be too clergy heavy. And there's no real other membership. Our big challenge is for the faith communities in the county to know that the commission exists and to want to partner with each other and with things that we don't want to be creating a lot of initiatives. We want to be more like levers that help get the work done. Eight people, all of whom have other jobs, can't be creating a lot of new initiatives, nor do we need to, because there are initiatives, but we could be connecting people to the initiatives that already exist. I just came from meeting with Dr. Navarro and at the Board of Ed to talk about what are ways that faith communities can directly support what Charles County Public Schools are doing, and vice versa. What would it look like if almost every congregation had an active partnership with their local elementary, high school, or middle school? Just exploring some of those things.
Right. Well, it puts the commission in a very interesting spot in that you act as the levers kind of to negotiate things, but you also have the government there as an assist.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that and how that can impact people's lives.
Having the government connection certainly helps with things like, Facebook pages, some of the nuts and bolts of being able to get word out about things, to be a connector. I think how it can affect people's lives is as we do engage in initiatives, projects, events that relate to people. Prayer vigils are one of the one of the simple ways. We did one last year around poverty and justice. We are going to host an election eve prayer vigil. That's something that people could come to in a fraught election year. It's good to come together the night before, not to hear any talks, any speeches, just to be in the same space, to pray in different traditions. We've become involved with the National Homeless Memorial Service that takes place every year, that my church was partnering with Lifestyles to host. But now we've brought the Interfaith Commission into it. So coming to events, joining in prayer, beginning to, as that Facebook page gets some life, if people can, know that there they can find out about initiatives they can help with or events they can go to. Those are some of the ways that I hope it'll impact the county.
So talk about how those events and some of the decisions that the commission makes. Talk about how they have a positive impact on the community.
Well, when you're promoting collaboration, understanding, justice, compassion, those are innately positive things. In fact, we want to focus on the positive, not once or twice we have, as a commission, articulated a position on where something needed to be spoken against, hate crimes or hate speech. Not very often, and we're talking about when we need to do that more often. But generally, it is about promoting the positive energy that's already here and helping to harness the energy, particularly in congregations, to come together to create good, to enhance good that's already there, and sometimes to make something that has not yet been. We could grow.
All for the greater good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So do you see, since it's an interfaith with a multitude of religious and faith beliefs, do you see people understanding how others worship and how others,
I think generally people don't have much of a clue. We're very siloed in our religious lives in America, and Charles County is no different. And we haven't yet gotten to that kind of programming where we could offer, here's how weddings happen in different traditions, and here's how rites of initiation are handled. We have tried, we did it once, and I would love to see more of these. We did an interfaith iftar during Ramadan a couple of years ago. And the Muslim community was very gracious to say, yes, we'll bring the food, and we'll really open up our end of fast, break fast, literally. After a day of fasting, we'll open that up to people who are not in our community so that you might learn. And that was tremendous. And I would love to see us do an interfaith Seder during Passover and during some of the Christian holidays and other ones, just to give that opportunity for people to come and experience. We've talked about, but haven't organized, could we do an intentional worship here, even putting out a list of, in a particular month, say, you want to experience Shabbat worship, here's a night you can go to Congregation Sha'ar Shalom. You want to experience Friday prayers, here's when you can go to the mosque, etc. But we have not done it.
No, but that would
be
fascinating, actually.
Now that idea has been articulated.
There we go. So what are some of the challenges that the Interfaith Commission faces?
8 busy working people trying to create something new is a big challenge, and creating easy ways for more people to get involved. That's essential if we're going to really move, and it's also hard because that requires some organization. So that is a big challenge. We are also in our culture in America is increasingly non-religious. So there are probably quite a few residents who'd be like, huh, why? Our faith community is that important that we need an interfaith commission. But if it can bring faith communities to work together, it could really be a game changer.
Oh, absolutely. And that leads me to, what are the opportunities for the Interfaith Commission?
Unfortunately, they're endless.
So
focusing, we have developed a practice of an annual retreat day where we kind of planning and try to say, well, what are the areas that we want to focus on, and some of the projects we've talked about promoting a month of kindness or something like that, and working with different institutions in the county. That's a project that's still waiting. So there's a lot of culture changing opportunities, I think, or just an opportunity to be a voice for spirituality in the mix. It doesn't have to be specific. In fact, as we are now a county commission, it can't be specific.
Right.
But talking about spirituality and the power of that, bringing that into some of the debates of our time, bringing that into anti-racism work, for instance. It's just a different voice in that mix. So I think some of the opportunities, there could be more opportunities to help congregations collaborate around specific issues as well. So it's kind of limited by how much time and bandwidth
of the
we have.
8 people that
of the 8 people. So the 8 people have to learn how to better multiply ourselves into many more citizens of Charles County being involved.
Well, that's a good lead into, how do people get involved, and what can people do to assist? Yeah,
very good question. I would love to see more interaction on that Facebook page, for lack of another medium to connect on, so that if people would say that sounds like a great initiative, I'd love to be involved in that. Coming to things is right now when there are things to come to, and we will then also promote food collections and things like that congregations are doing, and seek just to be a partner and promoter of some things. So we're also open to people coming to us with, that series of different worship experiences sound great. Can I help organize it? Things like that would be fantastic.
Wonderful, wonderful. And for those that may not know, what's the Facebook? We're on Facebook. What is it?
It's in the county. So it's a county. It's the Interfaith Council of Charles County.
Interfaith Council. Yeah, and we'll put it in the show notes just to make certain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it is a county site.
Very good, very good. Now I've got another question.
Yeah.
What's been your most rewarding part of all this?
I think it's the times we've hosted prayer vigils and coming together, especially around events that are deeply painful. And you can't but experience some hope when people come together like that. And often we structure them so there's room for lament, but also an ending in a hopefulness. So even the Homeless Memorial Day services we've done, it's always around December 21st. I mean, homelessness seems so intractable. It doesn't have to be, but it certainly does seem to be. It's hard to have hope, but at those events, the things the speakers have said, the prayers that have been offered, the songs, you end up thinking yes, things are possible. There's so much more good possible than we often think.
And that's kind of like the underlying mission of the commission is to kind of deliver that hopefulness,
absolutely,
that for the better good.
Yeah. Changing Charles County for good was one of the slogans we toyed with, but it doesn't need to be changed. It means just enhancing the good that's already here. But yes, I think if we can be agents of promoting a hopefulness, that's a good job done.
Absolutely. Any final final thoughts or anything you want to add?
Not that I can think of. It's been helpful to me to talk about it, to articulate some of these things. And I particularly would like to make the on-ramps much clearer for people to get involved in what we're doing.
And then how do they get more information about that? Is there a means other than the Facebook page?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Because we don't have a website or anything like that.
Okay, but
That's the primary.
They can contact the commission or contact
Yes.
you through the Facebook
Absolutely.
page. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'll include that in
Yeah.
the show notes.
Yeah, I would welcome
Very
it.
good. Thank you very much, Reverend Kate Heichler from the Interfaith Commission. And we will include in the show notes the Facebook link. And thank you. Thank you again.
You're welcome. I better update it.
Thanks for listening. If you like this podcast and want to hear more, search Charles County Government on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And be sure to like and subscribe. We're also available on YouTube. Search Charles County Commissioners. And stay connected for all county news, information, and programs by visiting www.charlescountymd.gov/stay connected.